122. Where did we leave off?
We left off that there's some canoeists coming up our wonderful venue access point. We can get started.
Let's wait till they're closer.
Okay, so
we can yell at them.
We talk about the Bronx.
Bronx, yeah. Why is the Bronx important? Poorest congressional district.
The Bronx is one of the poorest congressional districts in the United States. It also has an incredibly high incidence of asthma caused by fossil fuels. It's about 3 times higher. The number of deaths by asthma in the Bronx is about 3 times higher than the national average. The Bronx also suffers from an obesity problem relative to the rest of New York City. We believe that the Bronx represents one of the biggest challenges from an urban perspective. We believe that clean tech, our mission is to show how clean tech can be used to address the most intractable problems in urban America.
Perfect. 102. Take 1. 1, 2, 1. Sorry. 1, 2, 1.
I'm not the only one.
No. 1, 2.
I think it's a crazy thing.
1. It's an editing thing. 1, 2, 1.
Oh, look, they just fell in.
Let's get him. Maybe we can at least win America's Funniest Home Videos here. Well, now we have something to talk to him about. Oh, she's lost. Well, we have in-water recreation here at Concrete Plant Park.
There has to be a very shallow...
Yeah, I wouldn't get in that water yet. At least they're downstream of the barrier.
Yeah.
All right.
So, the Bronx.
1, 2...
The Bronx is really the heart of the new America.
Oh, we went through that one already.
Oh.
1, 2, 2. The science. This is your area of expertise.
Science.
Why is this compelling from a scientist? Like what we were going back and forth with.
It's like, okay, is it do we want to be Disneyland or do we want to do something useful?
Yeah.
Right now, pardon me?
Okay, well let's stop. Start over again. Do it again. Take 2. All right. 1, 2, 2. Why is this compelling from a scientific point of view? Why are the numbers so important? Why does this keep you up at night?
Yeah, many scientists now. Climate change in particular. Well, there are a number of issues regarding the environment. We have a serious water issue, not so much in New York, but even in New York, we do have a clean water issue. There are also issues in New York State. We have good water now, but there is an issue about fracking. If fracking does take place in the watershed, you could really devastate New York City's water availability. So that's a serious risk. But there's also the issue of air quality, and this is particularly true in the United States. The Concrete Plant Park is located between the Bruckner, which is basically the main way to get in from Connecticut to the city, and the Cross Bronx. So there's a serious air pollution problem. But one of the things we're really trying to look at, we're trying to elevate the conversation on climate change. We understand fully that it's a highly politicized discussion, but what we want to do in a very agnostic ways is really present the science and let people make up their own minds about how serious it is and whether it exists at all. It is true that without the greenhouse effect, we'd be 60 degrees below zero. But it's also true that Venus, with a very serious greenhouse effect, has an average temperature of 800 degrees Fahrenheit. Now, somewhere in between there is where we stand. Before the Industrial Revolution, we had an average of 180 to 280 parts per million of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere. Right now, we're running at 394 parts per million, way beyond what is considered normal, and much closer to what many scientists believe is the point of no return, 450 parts per million. Now, one of the things to keep in mind is that the Earth is going to survive. So the issue is not, there is no doubt that the Earth is going to survive. The Earth has had much higher carbon dioxide levels, it's had lower. There are times in the Earth's history when temperatures have been 5 degrees warmer and when there has been no ice on the polar caps. But we can't survive in that. there have also been times when the Earth was much colder and when we had a mile of ice above where we're standing now in the South Bronx. So the issue of climate change is a very serious one. We as humans live in a very delicate balance, and we really have to understand, is it happening, and is it worth risking? And we believe that at the Bronx in particular, we know now there's a very strong emphasis on science, and so what we want to use this E3NYC as a way to not only to elevate the conversation on serious scientific factors, but also use it as a way for kids to learn in a very practical way science, and not just climate change. Learn about water, learn about air, learn about how things work, learn about how photovoltaics work, learn about how electric cars work. So really one of the main missions that we have from a pedagogical viewpoint is to really educate.
Whew. 1, 3, or 1, 5, you covered negative to positive.
Okay.
1, 5, 1.
I don't know what that is.
Tell me about the management team. Tell me about the board of directors. Maria, Wendy, Isma,
Yeah.
Raphael. Tell me about the
Yeah,
team.
the management. Right now, we are designed this. We've designed E3NYC to be a framework plan. That's very intentional. A framework plan is intended to be very flexible because what we're doing, we want this to be highly inclusive. We're not at all even though what we're proposing is an economic engine of the magnitude of an Olympics or a World Cup or World's Fair, those have very stringent and rigid structures. What we want to do is take the best of those concepts, those proven concepts, and take the best but keep them flexible to respond to what we need here in New York City. So we've created this framework plan that can really reach out to everybody, from the kid to East Queens, to the kid in Staten Island, to the old person here in Hunts Point, to the banker in Manhattan, and to a variety of people in Queens and Brooklyn, people in Gowanus area, Brooklyn. What we're about is we want this to be a highly inclusive thing, so we have this framework plan. So we're going to be very lean, but what we have is a board of directors, and right now we have 4 people. We have this guy named Willem Hauk. He's from Holland. He's an expert at the electric car industry. He comes from Philips Electrics. He's head of the energy practice in Holland. We also have Maria Eolova, who is from Bulgaria. She heads one of the nation's leading urban think tanks called Terraform One. Also a number of other things, Planetary One and things like that. But what they really focus in from an academic perspective is how can you really use things to push the urban environment forward in a very clean and green way. We also have Ismail Betancourt. Ismail is, in many ways, he's the god, or he's the king of the Bronx, El Rey de Bronx. He's from Puerto Rico. He's an amazing success story. He never graduated from high school. He got his GED, but then he got his bachelor's from Columbia and his master's in business from Harvard. He has done everything from television shows. He's run for Bronx Borough President. I think he came in second to Diaz. And he's also run for Congress against Jose Serrano. But he knows the Bronx. He bleeds the Bronx. He's Mr. Bronx. So he's the third one, and I'm the 4th director right now. My background is economics and urban planning. So what we do, this board, we're overseeing the framework plan. Within that, though, we have a management team that we're scouting out right now. It includes people like Chris Hautz, who is this god of media. Also, Mark Rylander, who comes from Bill McDonough's office. We like to say you get everything that Bill McDonough offers, but without the baggage.
We'll put that on the holiday party video.
Then we also have people like Robert Pulitzer, who's been in the green building space for a while, and Terry McDonald, who is an expert with brownfield. And by the way, they're standing on a very successful brownfield site. A number of us have dealt with brownfields before. I've dealt with them in England. So we have a management team like that. But then we also have a board of advisors.
Okay, stop there. 161.
You forgot I know this project very well.
Yes, I know. We have to break it apart.
I know.
We have to.
I know.
161. Tell me about the advisory board without going into too specific individual detail, just like an overall.
The advisory board, one of the things that's great about New York City is that you have a lot of expertise on just about every subject. And even some subjects you don't have expertise on. We have some of the best people involved with the building industry, some of the best people involved with textiles,